Welcome to this week's Torah portion. This week the Torah portion is Vayeshev, which in Hebrew means and he settled. Jacob, with his 12 sons and all of his family, settle in Hebron. Jacob's 11th son, which is the first son from his beloved wife Rachel, is Joseph. And Joseph is favored in his father's eyes more than all of his brothers. So his brothers were very jealous of him, that he was getting all this attention. His father Jacob made him a special colorful coat. It was just for Joseph to wear. And Joseph would have dreams, and he would relay these dreams to his brothers. Two of these dreams that he relayed to his brothers indicated that he would end up ruling over all of his brothers' families. This infuriated his older brothers. And Simon and Levi, the same two brothers that killed all the men in the city of Shechem, they decided they wanted to plot to kill their brother Joseph. Now the oldest brother, Reuben, he said, guys, that's not a good idea. If we actually go and physically kill him, let's throw him in a pit. There's snakes and scorpions will come there and they'll eat him up. And so he had intended, Reuben, to go save Joseph from the pit when all the brothers had left. A miracle happened, and there was no snakes and scorpions in the pit, and Joseph survived. But another brother, Judah, said, guys, let's actually make some money off of this kid. Let's take him and sell him to the gypsies passing by. There was a group passing by, descendants of Ishmael, the uncle of Jacob. So they sold their brother Joseph to Ishmael, and they got some money. They took his infamous, colorful coat, and they dipped it in the blood of an animal, sheep's blood. And they brought it to their father Jacob. And it looked clearly like his son Joseph was devoured by a wild animal. Judah, one of Jacob's sons, gets married and has 3 children, 3 young boys. The first one, marries a beautiful woman named Tamar, but he dies very young and they have no children. So Judah suggests that Tamar marry his second son, Or. But unfortunately, Or also passes away early with no children. So Judah doesn't think it's a good idea for Tamar to marry his third son. But Tamar really wanted to have a child from Judah's family. She felt so connected that she disguised herself like a prostitute and seduced Judah himself to have a child. When she became pregnant, Judah said, look at this woman. She is a prostitute. We should put her to death for her sins. But then she produced evidence of personal belongings of Judah and said, look, it was my father-in-law who made me pregnant. So Judah admitted to this, and they let her live, and she gave birth to twins, Peretz and Zerach. Peretz was actually an ancestor to King David, the famous king of the Jewish people. Now, back to the story of Joseph. The Torah portion continues that Joseph is taken by the Ishmaelites and eventually sold to people in Egypt, and he is sold as a slave to one of the ministers in Egypt named Potiphar. And Joseph becomes very successful, and he climbs the rank in the house of Potiphar until he is in the position of in charge of all of the possessions of Potiphar. Potiphar's wife really was attracted to Joseph, and she wanted to have an affair with him. So one day, when everybody from the household of Potiphar was going out for the prayers, she said, I'm not feeling well. I want to stay home. And Joseph obviously didn't go with them to pray, so he was staying home, taking care of the household. And she ran to him and said, please, lay with me in the bed at least. I feel you're so beautiful. I'm so attracted to you. And Joseph, he was thinking, maybe he should also take advantage of this opportunity because Potiphar's wife was very beautiful. But all of a sudden, he had an image of his father Jacob, which appeared to him in his mind. And he said, I cannot do this. I come from such a special and connected family. So he ran out of the house, but Potiphar's wife managed to grab his coat. A second time, he's getting a little bit messed over from his coat. So Potiphar comes back home and his wife says, look, you see this Jewish slave, he left his coat in my room because he wanted to come and have an affair with me. So Joseph immediately, with no questions asked, was thrown into prison. In prison, he gained the favor of the prison guards, and they eventually appointed him to be a position of authority in the prison, sort of the liaison, the person making sure everything is okay in the prison grounds. And one day, in walks two esteemed officers from Pharaoh, the Pharaoh of Egypt, his court. The butler, the royal butler, and the royal baker. Now these two gentlemen have dreams, and they tell their dreams to Joseph. And Joseph interprets their dreams. He says the butler will be released in 3 days, but the royal baker will be hung in 3 days. And he tells the butler, when you are released, please don't forget about me. The Jewish man, Joseph, the dream teller, in prison. Sure enough, his prediction comes true, and 3 days later, the royal baker is hung, and the royal butler goes back to serve in Pharaoh's court. But he forgets all about Joseph and all of his dream telling that happened in the prison. So this is the end of this week's Torah portion. This is such a unique Torah portion. Obviously, it's focused around the life of Joseph, who is the prize, the golden son of Jacob, and his brothers were infuriated. So they ended up selling him, and not only that, he was thriving under his slave circumstances, but again, there was another person who had ill will for him to get him thrown into prison. And then again, he has another miracle where he gets the graces of the butler, the royal butler from Pharaoh of Egypt. But still, to no avail, he's still stuck in prison. But throughout all of this time, the Torah tells us Joseph was a positive person. He was always giving off positive energy, successful energy, and being kind to those around him. So this is something we can learn from Joseph. Even if we feel like we're going after roadblock after roadblock, and life is so tough and getting us into confusing situations, we can learn from Joseph to be nice, to be happy, to try our best to bring beauty to the world. Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and thank you for watching.